actual state. And get this, my actual agent in my actual town gave me actual help with the coverage I needed. And get this, my actual agent in my actual town who gave me actual help actually knows my name. And get this, they actually say it's called service.
Call your local State Farm agent Vinny Krekak at 402-474-1173.
This is the Happy Hour.
You guys going to happy hour?
Coming at you live from the heart of Lincoln, America.
Yeah, I'll come for a couple.
Here are your hosts, Nick Sainert.
I want to know what it's like to commit a crime without having to spend time in jail.
And Enrique Alvarez Clary.
C is for chunk.
Brought to you by Empire Fence and Netting on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Welcome in. Happy Monday. This is the Happy Hour, 93.7 The Ticket, theticketfm.com. Nick Sainert and Rico hanging out with you guys as usual. Hello, Rico.
Hello.
How was the weekend?
I'm back.
You're back.
Welcome back. I am alive. The sickness didn't take me.
That's good.
My voice is still not all the way there.
Yeah.
I feel 100 times better than I did.
Dude,
still not 100%.
Rico, you could not stand up Friday when you came into work. I was mad at you on Friday, Rico.
Because I came in?
Yes. I know you had stuff to do, and I appreciate you doing your job even while under the weather.
Well,
Rico,
like sitting there, I hadn't been here in 2 days.
I get that, but we are entering the holiday week.
I know. I hadn't been here in 2 days, so I was like, I need to show up. Like, I can't just not go to work.
It was bad
for 3 days.
Rico was sitting up at the front desk with his hood up, and he could not. He tried to stand up.
I didn't want to stand up.
He couldn't stand up. You were like slouching the entire time you were standing up.
It was
bad.
My greatest moments.
Yeah. As always, 402, excuse me, 402-464-5685, the Honda of Lincoln hotline and the Starter Heyman text line are both open for you guys the entire show today. Programming note. How about this?
A lot of programming.
A lot of stuff happening this week. Starting tonight, 7:15 p.m., 7 p.m. pregame for the Class B state championship game. So how about this? Myself, Jay Foreman, will be up from Memorial Stadium, 7 p.m. pregame for the number 1 seed Bennington Badgers up against the Omaha Skutt Catholic Skyhawks. These two teams played. Bennington's undefeated, by the way. Both these teams played in the first game of the season. Bennington won 14-13 over Omaha Skutt. So expecting a pretty good Class B matchup tonight at Memorial Stadium.
Give me Bennington.
You're taking Bennington.
I can do that. You can't.
I cannot.
You're calling the game. You're Kirk Herbstreit in this.
I suppose so.
You can't call this. I can.
But
Give me Bennington. Give me the Badgers.
So once again, we'll have Bennington and Omaha Skutt coming your way tonight, 7 p.m. pregame, 7:15 p.m. kickoff. And then tomorrow, 10 a.m. pregame for Class C1. It's going to be Wahoo versus Boone Central at 2:30. Pregame for Class C2 between Norfolk Catholic and Ord, all leading up to 7 p.m. between Westside and Elkhorn South.
I was thinking about just trying to name all of the mascots for those schools. So Wahoo Warriors, Boone Central Tigers.
Yes.
Who was it after that?
Norfolk Catholic.
Knights?
I don't remember the Norfolk Catholic ones.
I don't know. It's probably Knights or something.
Ord.
Chanticleers.
Nice.
Yep. Fighting Chickens.
You know Westside
Warriors
and Elkhorn South.
Elkhorn South Storm.
Elkhorn South's gonna be a fascinating game tomorrow night with Elkhorn South and Westside. Obviously, Westside we know has all the talent in the world.
They're really good.
Elkhorn South was able to go on the road to Millard South last week, or I should say 2 Fridays ago, and win on the road against a very young but real talented Millard South team.
That Millard South
Guy
team,
Rosenberg just gets the job done as the head coach at Elkhorn South.
That Millard South team was the only team that actually put a scare into Westside this season.
Yeah,
right.
For a very short time.
But I mean, it was there.
I mean, like
there was a point in the game. It was third quarter, right? Where you're looking at it and you're like, oh, maybe Millard South can hang with them.
There was a chance.
And then Westside was like, okay, we're done playing with our food.
Yeah.
And then kind of just
they kept them kind of at arm's length the entire game, where it was like, the scoreboard only shows that it's a 10-point differential but it feels like it's about a 21-point differential.
Mhm.
So we'll find out tomorrow if Westside can kind of wrap up on this perfect season that they have and win back-to-back state championships after they were able to beat Gretna last year.
So I was listening to early break this morning, and their like final question on Shut Up Sipple was, how many points has Westside scored this playoff run?
Oh,
Because they've
gosh.
allowed 6.
Yeah.
I think it was 147 or something like that. They've scored 147.
That's
They've only allowed
ridiculous.
6, and it was all to one team.
Yeah.
They shut out their second and third round, and whoever they played in the first round scored 6 points.
Yeah.
I think that's how it went.
So here, I mean, I can pull it up really quickly here. So yeah, once again tonight though, the one that's going to be happening quicker is going to be Bennington and Omaha Skutt. So looking forward to that one. Looking forward to get out to Memorial Stadium. It's a little crappy outside now. Goodness, I cannot stop coughing. A little crappy outside right now with the rain though. There has been a final score in Class D1. Stanton was able to defeat Exeter Milligan and Friend 42-36. So Stanton is your Class D1 state championship winners.
Shout out to Giancarlo.
D2 is getting ready to go underway here in about an hour and a half between Sandhills, Thedford, and Why Not in
give me
Class
Why Not.
D2.
They're like the Devils or something like that.
They are. There you go.
I know some things.
Nice job, Rico. All right, Rico, I want to get your
NCAA
thoughts.
14.
I want to get your thoughts on Nebraska's game against Wisconsin. Let's hear it.
Final thoughts on the Nebraska-Wisconsin game was, first off, just like everybody, Chubba Purdy, pleasantly surprised by what happened with Chubba Purdy. They scored, 14 points in something like 5 minutes or something like that. Their first 2 drives, they scored 14 points. I thought that the offense looked really good, obviously, in the beginning of the game. And honestly, throughout the game, they didn't look terrible. Just some of not even the play calling, just the way that the plays were executed, obviously had a lot more to be desired. The defense stood tall for most of the game, and this is weird to say, when it mattered outside of those 2 fourth down stops, the defense were giving up big plays. The runs by Tanner Mordecai and Braylon Allen, although neither one of them broke 65, 70 yards, were timely and backbreaking for Nebraska's defense. You had Tanner Mordecai wrapped up pretty much multiple times for sacks. You let him get away. You let him run for first downs and then some. Braylon Allen, who obviously is not 100%. I mean, Luke Fickell didn't even expect him to play in that game.
Yeah.
Comes out, runs the ball 22 times for 60-some yards and 2 touchdowns. And although Nebraska's defense did a great job of limiting his yardage, again, just the timeliness of Wisconsin's offense, although it wasn't explosive or it was just a little bit better than Nebraska's offense, they found the right time to make plays. And that was something that I saw a couple of people on Twitter, just you wanted Nebraska to have a playmaker just step up in some instance and do something, and they couldn't do that. Whereas Wisconsin, they had their one slot receiver who every time, he's in the slot, he's going to run a slant, he's going to run an in. You know what's going to happen, and no matter what, Tanner Mordecai hits him, he breaks a tackle, he gets the first down. You know, he drops back for a pass, they're rushing 3, they're rushing 4, nobody's in the middle. Tanner Mordecai is going to run for 14 yards, get the first down. It was frustrating to watch because multiple times as a viewer, you sit back and you're thinking, Nebraska's got this, they've got this, and then punched in the nose.
Well, and speaking of your defense, I mean, Tanner Mordecai, he finishes the game with 51 yards, and it felt like he ran for a lot more than that, but you're right, Rico.
51 was surprised. It's timely.
They were timely runs, right? And you look at Nebraska's defense, they record 2 sacks. Both of those, I believe, came in the first half. One of them by Luke Reimer, the other one by Jamari Butler. But how about this statistic? Only one time did they get register a quarterback hurry.
He had a lot of time.
There was not a lot of pressure applied by Nebraska's defense. And the times that they did apply pressure and they got to Tanner Mordecai successfully, they were not able to bring him down either. And that was brutal. That was brutal because you miss 2 or 3 tackles in the backfield, and Tanner Mordecai, once he gets past the line of scrimmage, defensive backs got to turn around and then be in pursuit of Tanner Mordecai.
The tackling had a decent amount to be desired.
Yeah, and I think it got overshadowed with obviously the scrambles. Braylon Allen, who we knew was not fully healthy going into the game,
but it's still a load to bring
but
down.
still was difficult for Nebraska to bring down. Like things like that are frustrating for Nebraska's defense. Offensively, I mean, you look at Nebraska and some of the drives. I said this statistic earlier today on the show with AD and Raf, but from the 6-minute and 37 mark in the second quarter to the 3-minute and 37 mark in the fourth quarter, Nebraska had 6 drives that resulted in 0 points. And these are all consecutive. 6 consecutive drives. Well, I should say 7 consecutive drives that resulted in 0 points because they turned it over on downs with 10:24 to go in the second quarter. But when you looked at from the 6:37 mark in the second quarter to the what would have been 3:37 mark in the fourth quarter, that's a big chunk of game. Number one, that's over 2 full quarters. Oof. And then you also look at it as you had 81 total yards registered on offense in between there. 81 total yards over the course of 29 plays. You're averaging about 2.8 yards per play on that. And so in those situations, Nebraska, throughout the entire game, their average third down and distance was 3rd down and 9. They averaged in the entire game over the course of 4 quarters, averaged 3rd down and 9. That's behind schedule for an offense that doesn't really know what guy they want to get the ball in stressful situations, for an offense that doesn't have everybody healthy, or I should say guys that are able to step up and make a play. And you're also on your 3rd quarterback of the season. Yeah. Like it's just not a recipe for success. But yet, here they were still having an opportunity to win the game.
Had a chance.
But unable to at the end. And that's what's just kind of crazy to think about.
And I said this earlier, and me and AD kind of went back and forth with it, where people are still going after Marcus Satterfield for the play calling. And I get that. You should have run the ball more. There's like maybe 20, maybe a few more carries between Emmett Johnson and Anthony Grant.
Yep.
And both of them seemed like they were having a decent amount of success against the Wisconsin defense. And, Chubba Purdy completes, 15 passes, 12 of 20-something passes. And I'm pretty sure this is, out of all of the games Nebraska's played, there have been 3 games now where Nebraska's leading receiver in terms of yardage had 1 catch.
Yeah.
And it was 1 catch for a touchdown and however many yards.
Yeah, Jalen Lloyd is who you're talking to. You're referring to 1 catch for 58 yards and a touchdown. Billy Kemp had 8 catches on 10 targets for 43 yards, averaging just 5 yards per reception.
A lot of short stuff, which is
fine
fine
for Billy Kemp. It is
but there was also 2 times where he caught
Billy
a ball.
Kemp's fully healthy. Like I don't know
if he's all the way healthy, if he's all the way back.
Yeah,
his yardage goes down because there was, I believe, at least 2 times where it was one of those bubble screens, tunnel screens, and he lost yardage because Wisconsin read it perfectly, busts through the block or just goes unblocked and tackles him in the backfield. There were multiple plays where as soon as it happens, you can see the vision. You can see the yardage that could happen if one thing happens. If one more block is thrown or if somebody just gets in the way of somebody. Yeah. There were multiple plays in that game, where I don't blame Marcus Satterfield's play calling, and I don't want to, blame the players, but it's just one small mistake leads to loss of yardage. You're behind schedule, and you're an offense that, as you said earlier, doesn't really know what you want to do or who your playmakers are.
Yeah, who you want to go to, more importantly. Like, how about this? On the 4th down play, or even on the 3rd down play, in overtime, like I'm sitting there prior to the play going, all right, who do you go to here? Who do you go to? Are you going to Jalen Lloyd because he caught a touchdown but hasn't caught a ball since? Are you going to Malachi Coleman, who has 2 catches on 6 targets? Are you going to Billy Kemp, who is not the tallest receiver? Like, who's your guy?
He can usually get yards after the catch, but you have to give him an opportunity to get yards. Yeah,
it's like who is your guy? You need. Well, what was it at the time? 3rd down and I don't know if it was 20, or if it was just 3rd down and 10. But it's like, all right, who's that guy? And when no matter who the team is, whether it's Nebraska, whether it's Alabama, whether it's Texas A&M, whoever the case may be, if you don't have an answer for that question, then that's when you find yourself in trouble. Chubba Purdy, I thought, did just fine on Saturday. 15 of 23. That's one of the better completion percentages we've seen when you're talking about that many passes, right? Over the course of throughout all these quarterbacks that have played, completed 65% of his passes, which is not a bad mark for 169 yards and a touchdown. Also had the interception at the end of the game, obviously.
Also had 100 yards, right? He threw for 9 more yards than Tanner Mordecai did.
And so, like, I look at this as 60%. If we want to talk about the accountability side of things, like I view it, and this is what I told Austin just a little bit ago, is like the 60% of like personnel decision making before the ball is snapped goes on Satterfield. The execution piece after the ball is snapped goes on the players.
Yes.
And right now, Nebraska doesn't necessarily have one side that's working better than the other, or both sides working in sync. They just don't, unfortunately. And honestly, Wisconsin didn't necessarily have that either. They didn't necessarily have it perfectly in sync, but they found a way to get it done, and they get it done the way that Wisconsin usually does, and that's lean on their running back, whoever that is, whether that was Jackson Acker on Saturday night or whether that was Braylon Allen towards the second half of the game.
I mean, Wisconsin won this game on the backs of 3 people. I can't remember their slot receiver's name, and I feel bad for
I think it was
because
Pauling.
Pauling. They kept calling his name. It seemed like every single time. Pauling, Allen, and Mordecai.
Yeah, Will Pauling.
Yeah, Will Pauling, Braylon Allen, Tanner Mordecai. Tanner Mordecai, again, timely runs. He's got that big old pad on his hand, and he's not afraid to run the ball and get down there and get those first downs. Braylon Allen, who's not 100%, still running hard, still running people over. And then Will Pauling is just, like I said, timely. It wasn't anything crazy. It's not like he was running double moves or anything. He's running slants. He's running ins. Tanner Mordecai taking a 2-step, 3-step drop, hitting him, and he's always open.
It was low risk, high reward type of plays for Wisconsin. You just needed to have somebody that delivered the mail. And it wasn't like Chubba Purdy, and this is kind of back to my point, like Chubba Purdy was delivering the mail on Saturday. Nebraska, unfortunately, I mean, you look at certain situations where maybe they got behind schedule offensively. They had 3 penalties for a total of 24 yards in the third quarter, right? 2 penalties for a total of 20 yards in the second quarter. And they had a penalty in the fourth quarter. You look at just things that Nebraska did, and it feels like we're saying the similar things every week. Saturday felt different in a way of like, this felt like an instance of you can visibly see what the issue was. And not that you haven't been able to see or like notice it in weeks past, but this week especially, like you point to, all right, the 7 penalties for 54 yards. That's something that you hadn't done the 2 previous weeks, right? Where the 2 previous weeks, you're sitting there going, all right, yeah, you turned it over, which is certainly the issue, but you've only committed 1 penalty. So when you had it for the short amount of time that you did, you weren't shooting yourself in the foot in terms of penalties specific, right?
Yeah.
So now this Saturday, what do? They don't turn it over outside the interception. Yes, they had the turnover on downs, which I'm fine with that call, by the way. They have the turnover on downs. Then they also have the interception at the end of the game. Take away the interception if you want. If you don't, whatever.
If it's incomplete, it still ends the game.
Yeah, it still ends the game. So like I sit there and go, all right, what are you looking at here? Penalties? This was more of a Nebraska characteristic type of performance of the last couple of years where they have 7 penalties for 54 yards. Where they have 6 consecutive drives where they have basically 3rd down and 8 every single drive. Like those are things that you can tangibly look at and point to where this is where you lost the game. Wisconsin, their average 3rd down and distance, 4 yards. 4.8 yards was their average down and distance.
Which is exactly where they wanted to be.
You're cutting Nebraska's in half, more than in half. And you're asking your offense to do a lot that, once again, doesn't know what they want to do. Because we've always labeled Chubba Purdy as the guy that can't run as well. Well, he was able to run just fine on Saturday. And a guy in Chubba Purdy that has some receivers around him that are still trying to get their footing. But we also saw in certain situations where Chubba was able to make a nice, accurate throw in the middle of some Badgers defenders. And also, You had Anthony Grant, who was running it pretty well for the first time this season, consistently without turning it over. You had Emmett Johnson, who added 13 carries as well. You had total 25 total carries between those two guys. And throughout the middle parts of the game,
they disappeared.
It just vanished.
There was no running back.
Any sort of consistent play calling, and this is that before the snap, decision making on how you want to set up, who you want to have out there, what play you want to run before the ball is snapped. This is where that comes into play for me, is that throughout the middle there, after the third drive where you got one total yard between the three drives, not once did you think, okay, what did we do on those first two drives that worked? And then after the fifth drive, where you get a total of like 14 total yards that ends in another punt. With, by the way, a 15 or 20-minute conversation in the locker room. There was zero adjustment. And that was where it falls, I think, on the coaches. That part, the inability to determine what is going to work towards the end of the game in overtime. Like, I sat there going, all right, they have four full quarters of what is working against this defense, what isn't working against this defense, and maybe a couple new things in their back pocket.
Things we haven't shown, things that might work.
Yeah. And on the first play in overtime, they run an option. They go horizontal.
That wasn't working.
When the entire game, the verticality piece has been working.
Line up and push.
With two of your guys that had not fumbled all night long and also had gotten enough volume. 13 for Emmett Johnson, 12 for Anthony Grant. 12 carries, that is.
You were at a point, as you said, after the first couple of drives where your offensive line, and this is something that everybody I feel like on this station has talked about, your offensive line was feeling it, and they were feeling good because they were pushing Wisconsin around.
Yeah.
Your running backs were running pretty well. Your quarterback was running pretty well. And you decided, you know what they're not looking forward to? Passing. Let's do that some more. As opposed to sticking with what was working. And the passing was working, here and there. But at the same time, when you have running backs who are running as well as Emmett and Anthony Grant were, you need to feed them the ball more. And I understand, you have a quarterback who out of the three that you've played this season is a better passer and was showing that he is more accurate. But as you said earlier, you've got wide receivers who are still trying to find their footing. I understand Emmett Johnson is a redshirt freshman, but he has shown through the time that he's had to be the starter or the backup and that he's gotten more than the lion's share of the carries, that he is more than capable of being that running back. Anthony Grant, again, the guy who started for not this, coaching staff, but started last year, has experience in the collegiate ranks and has shown you that he can run the ball as long as he holds on to it. You go away from him as well. Yeah. Like you said, it was weird when you don't have either one of those guys in the game, or when you do have them in the game, you're asking them to pass block, or you're asking them to, run these routes where they're not going to get the ball. They're behind the line of scrimmage. It was frustrating.
It was really weird also. Just Nebraska, for the first time, I think all season long, looked somewhat smooth in the 2-minute offense. Yeah. Like even if at the end of the fourth quarter that play and that sequence wasn't what Nebraska fans wanted and you wanted Matt Rule to go for the win, I'm okay with that. You have to understand and also respect the way they looked. They drove the ball down, smoothly and quickly and efficiently at the end of the second quarter, and it just resulted in a missed field goal. And then you also drove it down in the final couple minutes of the fourth quarter when you needed a field goal to tie. And so that was something that I kind of took away, and I wish Nebraska could win the game so we could focus more on that, because
it was
then we're sitting there going, all right, that's something we have not seen.
Yeah.
Is them orchestrating an actual, successful offensive drive in crunch time with a little bit of urgency. And maybe they didn't have full urgency at the end of the game, and that's another conversation, I guess. But with Chubba Purdy at quarterback, they did something that they could not do efficiently and successfully, resulting in points, whether it's a field goal or a touchdown, going into the locker room or ending the game. They did that. They did it with Chubba Purdy. They were unable to do it with Jeff Sims and Heinrich Harburg. That's statistical. That's factual. that's things we can point to and look at on the stat sheet.
I think the thing that I'm the most upset about in this game is that Phelan Sanford sacrificed himself to stop Braylon Allen on a 4th down, and Nebraska still lost.
There you go. Let's get to break. 402-464-5685, the Honda of Lincoln hotline, and the Starter Heyman text line are both open for you guys the entire show. We got a couple that I want to get to when we return, and I want to kind of break down these drives once again, look at them, because unfortunately it's not the most just the compare and contrast with Wisconsin in that third quarter specifically, where it just felt like Nebraska was just in neutral. They were in neutral the entire game after those first two drives, and maybe even just after halftime in that third quarter specifically, where Nebraska's been relatively successful in the third quarter this season. It's been one of their better quarters. Unable to really do anything against the Badgers defense that has not been playing well. I mean, this is a Badgers defense that gave up 24 points in the first half to Northwestern, gave up 0 second half points to Northwestern, who, by the way, Northwestern got their 6th win over the weekend in a 23-15 victory over Purdue.
David Braun, Big Ten Coach of the Year.
David Braun.
I don't care what anybody says.
They removed the interim tag, and he takes them to a bowl game. So, I mean, Nebraska's sitting here going, all right, you got one more opportunity here to continue your season. And that's what I was telling Jay on Saturday is like, there's only 4 quarters as a program on this season. There's only 4 quarters left promised. There's only 4 promised quarters remaining. And it's like, it shrunk from, all right, we need 1 win throughout the 16 quarters. 1 win. In 4 games, 16 quarters to play football. Then it was, all right, that's all right. We still have 12. We still have 3 games left. Michigan State's in the past, whatever. We have 12 quarters left of promised football. Obviously, injuries happen, but from a program standpoint. Now it's 8. All right, it's getting kind of interesting here. We need to come out firing. They did so. They have 8 quarters left. Unable to do it again. So now
4.
Here you are, 4 quarters left of promised football, I suppose. And it's going to get real uncomfortable if they're unable to achieve it on Friday morning / afternoon. Let's take a break. We'll continue this conversation coming up next on the Happy Hour.
Follow Nick and Enrique on Twitter at Nick_Sainert and at Radio Rico AC. More of Happy Hour is next on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
At Koppel Chevrolet GMC, we are thankful for so many things this year, starting with our great employees, a generous community, our military personnel, and most importantly, our loyal customer base that continues to drive that money-saving mile of Louisville. Hi, this is Sean Callahan, and on behalf of everybody at Koppel, we want to wish you a happy Thanksgiving and safe travels to wherever they may take you. Happy holidays from Koppel Chevrolet GMC.
The holidays are drawing closer, and there's not many things better than getting the gift of relaxation. Not just for yourself, but for anyone in your life. During November, for every service you get at the Body Shop, you get entered into their drawing for a free massage gift certificate equal to your last service. This goes all the way to the week before Christmas, so book your appointments now at thebodyshoplincoln.com and treat yourself and loved ones today. The Body Shop at 48th and A.
Whether it's playing on a sports team or creating art, it's important to encourage your kids to explore their interests. I'm Jenny Benson, president of the Nebraska State Education Association. Let your child know you believe in their passions. It can contribute to your child's focus and improve the quality of their schoolwork, too. So show that budding scientist some encouragement by helping them with an experiment or play catch with your baseball enthusiast.
Sponsored by the Nebraska State Education Association, aired by the Nebraska Broadcasters Association and this station.
Whether you're booking a trip to Lincoln for a football game or a volleyball weekend, the Scarlet Hotel at Innovation Campus is the place for you. The Scarlet Hotel is special on many levels, from the delicious Well and Good restaurant on the main floor to the coolest rooftop patio bar in Lincoln, the Barred Owl, on the top floor of the hotel with great views of the city and one of the coolest drink menus. Book your stay or book a staycation today at scarlethotelnebraska.com.
It takes a great game plan to win a football game each week, and right now, it's time to plan a trip to get a new car at Mullen Motors. Just like on the football field, there's a wall of defense on the way to Mullen Motors. 48th Street is under construction from Layton all the way to Cornhusker Highway. But the lot at Mullen Motors is full of tons of great vehicles to drive home this fall for the ultimate touchdown. Mullen Motors, still open through road construction at 48th and Walker.
No taglines, just quality vehicles. Mullen Motors.
Action Plumbing, Heating, Air, and Electric is the call I make when I have a need for plumbing services. Whether it's for my home or office, if I need a repair to a water heater, softener, or even my garbage disposal, I know I can count on Action to help. In one simple call, their amazing customer service team promptly schedules a service call, often getting to my needs within a day. Action delivers honest quality services we can count on. To learn more, visit actionlincoln.com.
So I switched my insurance to State Farm, and get this. I talked to an actual State Farm agent who lives in my actual town. And get this. My actual agent in my actual town gave me actual help with the coverage I needed. And get this. My actual agent in my actual town who gave me actual help actually knows my name. And get this. They actually say it's called service.
Call your local State Farm agent, Vinny Krekak, at 402-474-1173.
Wall-to-Wall Wine and Spirits is now open in Lincoln. Shop our expansive collection of wine, beer, spirits, and cigars at 5040 North 27th Street. From top shelf liquor to crowd favorite beer, Wall-to-Wall Wine and Spirits has a beverage for every taste and every budget. Plus, join our loyalty program to earn rewards and save on future purchases. Shop Wall-to-Wall Wine and Spirits at 5040 North 27th Street in Lincoln. That's 5040 North 27th Street.
Is your furnace operating like you think it should? Find out with a service check now from the pros at Bryant. No matter what make or model, Bryant will perform a thorough system check to make sure you're good to go this winter. Bryant also offers free second opinion heat exchanger checks. Before you spend thousands on a new furnace, let Bryant check it free. Anytime you need furnace service or repair, just call Bryant Air Conditioning, Heating, Electrical, and Plumbing, 467-1111. We do whatever it takes.
Experience flexibility like never before with Ace Rent-to-Own. Whether you're decorating a new home or upgrading your electronics, they provide easy payment plan options that suit your budget. No credit checks, no hefty interest rates, just straightforward renting solutions designed with you in mind. Find great options to make a beautifully furnished space or surround yourself with the latest gadgets. With Ace Rent-to-Own, it's all within your grasp. Visit acerentoown.com and bring home more than just a product. Bring home a lifestyle.
This is Bud Seinhorst, President and CEO of LIBA, the Lincoln Independent Business Association. Join us every Saturday from 9 to 10 a.m. on 93.7 The Ticket for the LIBA Business Hour, as we discuss local business and highlight those who are thriving in the Lincoln area. It's the LIBA Business Hour, Saturdays from 9 to 10 a.m. on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Concrete Industries, a Nebco company, has immediate job openings for precast production laborers. Concrete Industries offers great pay, health benefits, 401k, a wellness program, holidays, and paid time off. Apply today to earn a starting pay of $20 per hour and a $1,500 hiring bonus. Concrete Industries is hiring all experience levels and offers on-the-job training. Start your career today as a precast production laborer. Visit concreteindustries.com.
It takes a great game plan to win a football game each week, and right now, it's time to plan a trip to get a new car at Mullen Motors. Just like on the football field, there's a wall of defense on the way to Mullen Motors. 48th Street is under construction from Layton all the way to Cornhusker Highway. But the lot at Mullen Motors is full of tons of great vehicles to drive home this fall for the ultimate touchdown. Mullen Motors, still open through road construction at 48th and Walker.
No taglines, just quality vehicles. Mullen Motors.
You're listening to the Happy Hour with Nick Sainert.
I don't believe you people.
And Enrique Alvarez Clary.
What do you mean, you people?
What do you mean, you people? Huh?
Sponsored by Empire Fence and Netting on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Welcome back into the Happy Hour, 93.7 The Ticket, theticketfm.com. Once again, just continuing to break down Nebraska's 24-17 loss to the Badgers. We do want to, for sure, highlight some of the things that are happening across the other athletics in Nebraska. I mean,
Nebraska
you have,
Athletics was on fire this weekend.
it was incredible. It was incredible. Outside of women's basketball, struggled against Creighton, fell against the Blue Jays.
They played better than I thought they would
thought
for
so too.
being 3 starters down, considering 2 of the starters played in limited minutes in Jazz Shelley and Maddie Krull, who got in and played a little bit but didn't start the game. Still no Ani Stewart, who when I saw, and it was weird because the last game that they played, she was on a scooter with a boot, and I just didn't register that it was her.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm sitting there and we're up there and I go, wait, is Ani not playing? And we look down there and she's in a boot. And I was like, oh, okay, well, that's happening. But they played better than I thought they would against Creighton, lost by 6, something like that, to a top 20. Well, they were a top 25 team and now they're not.
Now they're not. They dropped out of the rankings. Well, what I think was most frustrating is Nebraska. They were able to be somewhat successful on the glass, yes, but Creighton didn't have a single player over 6'1" on their roster, and Nebraska does, obviously led by Alexa Markowski, and Markowski, she scored a lot of points, over 20 points yesterday against Creighton, but not the rebound totals that maybe you would have expected.
It's normally something she's really strong at.
Creighton, they move without the ball extremely well. They cut extremely well. It forces you to be disciplined. It forces you to have really good communication with the other players on the floor. And Nebraska maybe just kind of laxed, or it was just, missed some opportunities yesterday, I think. But I would agree with you, Rico. They played better than I expected against a team that blew the doors off of them last year in Creighton.
Yeah,
so,
last year was not fun.
Then you look at Nebraska soccer. They're on to the Elite Eight. They're going to face Stanford on Friday. You want to talk about a loaded Black Friday slate? You have obviously Nebraska football against Iowa at 11 a.m. That game's on CBS. Don't forget.
Yeah, they're kicking things off for Nebraska Athletics.
Nebraska football against Iowa, CBS 11 a.m. kickoff for that one. Then at 3 o'clock, you'll have Nebraska versus Wisconsin.
Your Big Ten champion solo dolo Nebraska volleyball team.
Yes.
After they got it done against Iowa, who wanted a blackout, was not a blackout. And then you'll have at 4 p.m. Nebraska soccer going up against Stanford. Stanford has not lost a single match, and I believe I read that they only have given up 6 goals all season long. I think it was more than 6, but it's something like I don't think it's more than double digits.
They can quickly find it.
Yeah, they shut out Mississippi State, who was like the 4 seed. Stanford won 1-0 over them, but Nebraska, one of the better offenses in the country.
Excuse me, 9 goals.
Yeah, it's like I said, under double digits. You just got to flip the number you said.
Yeah, thank you.
Under Nebraska's soccer has one of the best offenses in the country. They put up 4 goals against UC Irvine, won 4-0. Eleanor Dale scores 2 of those and has the new program record at 28 goals this season.
Yep.
Still leading the NCAA in that as well. So we'll see. One of the better defenses against one of the better offenses.
So there you have it. Going back to football here. Look at him.
Look at Jay Foreman standing outside the window.
What do you know? Jay Foreman standing outside the window.
Wait for it. Wait for it to change. There it is.
There it is.
Look at him.
Just like that.
Glorious.
Look at him. I wonder what the people in the vehicles are over there looking like. I wonder, they're just like, man, that dude just standing in front of the window.
What's that guy doing?
Yeah, what's he doing over there? Anyway, another thing just from Nebraska football, Matt Rule said in his press conference earlier today that search firms have called.
Don't like that.
About defensive coordinator Tony White.
Nope. Hang up the phone, Matt.
So there you go. It has begun.
Yeah,
obviously,
and he's sitting here saying, he's like, I want him to take the best job possible, and I'm giving him glowing review. How dare you, Matt?
Yep.
How dare you, Coach Matt Rule? You need to say great things about him, but he doesn't want to leave. Even if he wants to leave. Don't tell him anybody's called.
What's the number that would keep Tony White at Nebraska?
I don't know, because it's not going to be anywhere close to a head coaching number.
So Austin and I looked it up. Brady Hoke was making, I think, 1.4 at San Diego State.
But he's a head coach.
Brady Hoke was the head coach, yes.
That's what I'm saying.
So are we sitting here going 1.7? Does that keep Tony? But do you want to pay a defensive coordinator 1.7?
Yes.
For
a guy that took your defense from allowing 400 plus yards a season ago to around 200-ish, 300-ish this season, yes.
We will have to have like the conversation in the next week or so about what Nebraska is going to look like next year. And obviously it's going to be fluid it's going to be fluid as the transfer portal and all that stuff, happens throughout the offseason. But this is going to be a defense that loses quite a few guys. This is going to be a defense that loses quite a few guys. Quentin Newsome not coming back. Luke Reimer not going to be able to return. Ty Robinson's probably off to the NFL. You have a lot of young pieces in
Nick
the Cameron.
Hendricks technically has another year.
You have a lot of young pieces in the form of like Cameron Lenhart and Riley Van Poppel, Jamari Butler, who has decided to stay out after the offseason.
Mm-hmm.
Assuming those guys return and don't want to hit the portal, you have some intriguing pieces coming back. You're also losing a couple big names as well.
So just looking at this, out of everybody that's listed first on the defense, you will have Luke Reimer, Omar Brown, Quentin Newsome are seniors.
Mm-hmm.
Now, that's not speaking on any of the backups or anybody else that's doing there or anybody that decides that they're going to leave or going to transfer. But on the defensive side of the ball, according to this, just the starters, there are 3 guys who will not be back.
Mm-hmm.
I don't mind that. It sucks.
There will be
because there's going to be
more. There's going to be more.
There's going to be more, but I don't hate that.
There you go. So once again, the phone number to call or text 402-464-5685. Big Bird makes a good point. And this is like something that we can even talk about with offensive coordinators. Maybe not to this extent. Big Bird makes a good point. Says if Tony White gets poached, next year will be our 4th defensive coordinator in 3 years. When you also, look at offensive coordinator, just since the start of Scott Frost, it was the Troy Walters, Matt Lubick, Mark Whipple, now obviously Marcus Satterfield. So you're talking 4 offensive coordinators in 6 years there. Don't like that. Not a whole lot of stability within a program, and you hope that maybe
Matt
Rule
sense.
can figure that out.
That makes sense. Where Matt Rule says it's 1 year. I'm not going to fire him.
Yeah. Well,
I look.
Listen, Rico.
Don't do that.
I will.
Don't do that.
I will.
It's 1 year.
Because
Len, look. Hey,
there's some questions.
That thing I just did with the defense on the offensive side. There is one. Nope. Yeah, one with Anthony Grant.
Grant.
Nobody. Everybody's back. Everybody.
Okay. So are we sitting there going top 50 offense next year?
We're not doing that. We're just saying it's going to be better.
It's going to be better than last. Already pumping it.
It's going to be better than. I'm not pumping anything. It's going to be better than last.
Let's take a break.
The offense is going to be better than the worst offense in the country. There you go.
We'll see what happens.
Third to worst.
Unnamed texter wants our thoughts on Colorado. Let's talk about it. Rico might step out.
Yeah.
Austin's going to step in, hang out with me.
I'll throw this at you. I did say at one point that they weren't going to win another game on their schedule, and that has been correct.
Okay, Rico.
So
thank you.
There you go.
Thank you for being negative.
I do like Shitter Sanders though.
There it is.
It's really good.
Let's take a break. We'll bring in Austin for the crossover coming up next.
Download our app by searching 93.7 The Ticket in your app store to stay in touch and listen all day long wherever you are. More of the happy hour is next on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
It takes a great game plan to win a football game each week, and right now, it's time to plan a trip to get a new car at Mullen Motors. Just like on the football field, there's a wall of defense on the way to Mullen Motors. 48th Street is under construction from Layton all the way to Cornhusker Highway. But the lot at Mullen Motors is full of tons of great vehicles to drive home this fall for the ultimate touchdown. Mullen Motors, still open through road construction at 48th and Walker.
No taglines, just quality vehicles. Mullen Motors.
Open in Lincoln. Shop our expansive collection of wine, beer, spirits, and cigars at 5040 North 27th Street. From top shelf liquor to crowd favorite beer, Wall to Wall Wine and Spirits has a beverage for every taste and every budget. Plus, join our loyalty program to earn rewards and save on future purchases. Shop Wall to Wall Wine and Spirits at 5040 North 27th Street in Lincoln. That's 5040 North 27th Street.
Whether you're booking a trip to Lincoln for a football game or a volleyball weekend, the Scarlet Hotel at Innovation Campus is the place for you. The Scarlet Hotel is special on many levels, from the delicious Well and Good restaurant on the main floor to the coolest rooftop patio bar in Lincoln, the Barred Owl, on the top floor of the hotel with great views of the city and one of the coolest drink menus. Book your stay or book a staycation today at scarlethotelnebraska.com.
Whether it's playing on a sports team or creating art, it's important to encourage your kids to explore their interests. I'm Jenny Benson, president of the Nebraska State Education Association. Let your child know you believe in their passions. It can contribute to your child's focus and improve the quality of their schoolwork, too. So show that budding scientist some encouragement by helping them with an experiment or play catch with your baseball enthusiast.
Sponsored by the Nebraska State Education Association, aired by the Nebraska Broadcasters Association and this station.
Ironhide Construction is hiring. They're looking for hardworking, self-motivated individuals who are team players. Ironhide Construction has openings for an experienced project manager, estimator, apprentice, skilled laborer, and erector or installer. They will train the right people and make sure you understand the position and requirements. At Ironhide Construction, it's own it, be honest, and do it right. Apply today and learn more about their other benefits at ironhideconstruction.com, where they're committed to you every step of the way.
Action Plumbing, Heating, Air, and Electric is the call I make when I have a need for plumbing services. Whether it's for my home or office, if I need a repair to a water heater, softener, or even my garbage disposal, I know I can count on Action to help. In one simple call, their amazing customer service team promptly schedules a service call, often getting to my needs within a day. Action delivers honest quality services we can count on. To learn more, visit actionlincoln.com.
Big box stores are tempting for buying equipment for your high schooler in sports or for yourself in your sports leisures. But buying new is awfully expensive. Why not go somewhere with new and used options? Play It Again Sports has quality, slightly to gently used equipment, and 50% of their inventory is actually new equipment. And it's more than baseball, softball, and golf. They also have equipment for disc golf, fitness, hockey, and more. Plus, they're always buying products. Bring your gear you're done with and get trade money on the spot. Play It Again Sports at 48th and Vine.
Houses? They're expensive. And once you buy one, you're kind of stuck with it for a while. You need to make sure you get your best house for the best price. You need Ben Bleicher and his team of pros at Professional Realty Group. They'll take the time to figure out what's important for you in your dream home, and they have the expertise to find the hidden issues that could surprise you after the sale. That's professional knowledge, proactive service. We call that potential. Ben Bleicher and the team at Professional Realty Group of Berkshire Hathaway's home service ambassador. Find more online at prg-ne.com.
Hi, it's Charlie Stone, and here with me is Andy Goodyear, General Manager of Honda of Lincoln. Andy, I know the new Honda sales are going really good right now at Honda of Lincoln, and with that, a lot of fresh trade-ins are coming in. Can you tell our listeners about your pre-owned selection?
I'm happy to, Charlie. Like you said, with new Honda sales going very good, we have a lot of fresh trade-ins coming in daily, and not just Hondas. We have just about every maker model you can imagine, with over 100 pre-owned and certified pre-owned to choose from, and prices starting at just $5,900.
Wow, what about financing?
We have financing as low as 3.29% APR on certified Accords and CRV.
Thanks again, Andy. People love the selection and great service at Honda of Lincoln. Maybe it's time you come experience the Honda of Lincoln.
Is your furnace operating like you think it should? Find out with a service check now from the pros at Bryant. No matter what make or model, Bryant will perform a thorough system check to make sure you're good to go this winter. Bryant also offers free second opinion heat exchanger checks. Before you spend thousands on a new furnace, let Bryant check it free. Anytime you need furnace service or repair, just call Bryant Air Conditioning, Heating, Electrical, and Plumbing, 467-1111. We do whatever it takes.
The holidays are drawing closer. There's not many things better than getting the gift of relaxation. Not just for yourself, but for anyone. During November, for every service you get at the Body Shop, you get entered into their drawing for a free massage gift certificate equal to your last service. This goes all the way to the week before Christmas, so book your appointments now at thebodyshoplincoln.com and treat yourself and loved ones today. The Body Shop at 48th and A.
This is your high school minute.
With your Southeast Community College High School Minute, I'm Harris Johns. Switching over to football on Friday, November 3rd in Class A. Number 6 Lincoln East would fall to number 3 Elkhorn South 24-19. In Class B, number 9 Norris lost to number 1 Bennington in a close one, 23-20. And number 2 Waverly would advance to the semifinals after dominating in a win over Hastings 45-21.
Switching to volleyball, here are your 2023 state champions. In Class A, Lincoln Southwest won in their championship game over Papillion La Vista. In Class B, Omaha Skutt will continue their dominance in recent history, winning over Norris in 3 sets. In Class C1, Minden won over Kearney Catholic in 5. And in Class C2, Lincoln Lutheran won over Clarkson Lay for its 3rd straight championship. This has been your Southeast Community College High School Minute. Learn more today at southeast.edu with locations in Lincoln, Beatrice, and Milford.
Alexa, play 93.7 The Ticket.
Okay, playing 93.7 The Ticket.
Alexa, turn down the lights.
Dimming the lights.
Alexa, order a pizza, the big one, all the toppings.
Are you sure that's a good idea?
Alexa.
That's a lot of pizza for just one man.
Alexa, just do it. Stop judging me, just do it.
As you wish.
Thanks, Alexa. You're my best friend. This is Lincoln's home for sports talk on the FM dial. Also online at theticketfm.com. On the internet. KNTK FM Firth, 93.7 The Ticket. You're listening to the Happy Hour with Nick Sainert. I vomited last night. And Enrique Alvarez Clary. I literally vomited. I threw up. On 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Welcome back into the Happy Hour 93.7 The Ticket, theticketfm.com. Nick Sainert, no Rico as he stepped out. Austin Orman joins me. What's up, Austin?
Oh, Maui's on my computer right now. I'm watching it.
And it's Feast Week. It's officially Feast Week.
We made it.
For college basketball. How about this? Maui Invitational is tipping off, has already tipped off at 1:30 with Syracuse versus Tennessee. This is an incredible field.
Mm-hmm.
So the Maui Invitational, obviously, it'll take place today through Wednesday, the 22nd. And here are the teams in the Maui Invitational. You have obviously Syracuse and Tennessee. Then Gonzaga versus Purdue tonight at 4 p.m. Central Time. Kansas versus Chaminade at 8 p.m. Central Time. And then at 10:30 p.m. Central Time, Marquette versus UCLA. These are all highly ranked teams.
Except Chaminade.
Except Chaminade.
Okay. I think it's 5 of the top 11 in the most recent AP poll, and
Dang.
I think 5 of the top 7 in terms of their power ratings at like evanmiyakawa.com. Maybe Ken has one about there. You'll find this interesting. A lot of money going on Tennessee.
Yeah.
In this game against Syracuse. Well, Syracuse has been to Maui, I think, 4 or 5 times.
Yeah.
They have never lost a game in Maui.
Really?
Yeah.
They've won it.
They've won it every time they've gone.
That is special.
Duke has been 6 times. Duke has won it 5 times. The only time they lost was when they made their comeback that fell like 3 or 5 points short against Gonzaga in 2018. So the 2 teams with the best winning percentages are Syracuse, who's like 8-0, I think, 10-0 all time in Maui, and Duke, who's 17-1.
My goodness. Syracuse up 13-9. Is that right?
19-11
19-11 in the first round of the All-State Maui Invitational.
Which being played in Honolulu because the wildfires in Hawaii. It affected the normal gym.
Wow, that's too bad. Another college basketball team just on a national scale before we get to Nebraska specific, Louisville. They have not won a game away from the Kenny Payne Center, or excuse me, away from the KFC Yum Center in the Kenny Payne era. Louisville's in a weird spot right now.
Louisville is lucky Jeff Brom did his thing in year 1.
Yeah.
Kenny Payne is thanking everyone in Louisville football for keeping him around. I mean, they had Texas on the ropes. It took Mac Baseman's buzzer beater for Texas to beat him. I think that was just last night.
Yep.
But that program is in such a bizarre spot. Kenny Payne, I still think, has some coaching chops, but he was mostly at Kentucky for a recruiter. He was Cal's right-hand man on the bench to get guys there, kind of a player whisperer type of guy. And Louisville just hasn't had that level of talent.
Yeah, Kenny Payne is fascinating. So he went 4-28 last year with the Cardinals in his first year. Just a 125 winning percentage. I mean, 12.5 win percentage, basically.
One in conference play, 1 win.
Yeah, here I can find this out really quickly here. I mean, you just look at some of it; it's not very good. Once again, 4-28, 2-18 in the ACC. They gave up 76 points per game as well. which is not that great.
Pretty bad, in fact.
Let's talk Nebraska basketball, though, because Nebraska basketball, for the first time since 2008, is 5-0. 5-0 in 2000 or since 2008 for Nebraska hoops, and they have opportunities to continue this. They have Duquesne on Wednesday. Duquesne's a team that beat Stony Brook by, I believe,
22.
around 20. Yep, right around 20 points. A couple weeks ago, Nebraska not necessarily struggled with Stony Brook, but just got off to a slower start offensively against Stony Brook. Well, now here's their chance. Duquesne's going to probably be outside of, I'd even say best non-con team that they've played to this point. Duquesne,
oh, without a doubt.
Even in considering Oregon State.
Yeah.
Duquesne's going to be the toughest test to this point. And so they're coming into Lincoln on Wednesday. It's 7 p.m. tip-off for that one between Duquesne and Nebraska. And this just continues that group of games where you don't want to lose these games, because these are the ones that really show up as bruises and blunders when you're talking about if you find yourself as a bubble team.
Duquesne finished 6th in the A-10 last year. That's a pretty respectable basketball conference. Got a couple of really good guards that couldn't fill it up. I don't know if they're going to be as good as Jordan Pope was for Oregon State on Saturday. I mean, my goodness, was he good. The thing about this game for Nebraska is a lot of places will have Duquesne rated similarly to Minnesota.
Okay.
In their power ratings, and Minnesota's, among the worst teams in the Big Ten. But that's only a point and a half in a lot of these rating systems behind Nebraska. This is a game that I think it's good. Nebraska has it at home. I don't think the fact that it's the Cornhusker Classic adds any buzz. But Duquesne has postseason experience. Went to the CBI last year. Keith Gambrot, their head coach, really solid there. Duquesne's good.
Yeah.
If Creighton wasn't on the schedule, I would say this would be the toughest game in November, December. But with the Blue Jays looming, that's big. Cal State Fullerton, who knows? They're up and down. But don't take Duquesne lightly. To me, this is the biggest test for Nebraska through the first half dozen games.
Yeah, it's going to be really fascinating. Once again, 7 p.m. tip-off on Wednesday night for this one. For a Nebraska basketball team that's basically done their job, the ability and to the extent that we all expected to this point. Keeping teams and opponents at kind of arm's length. We've talked about that in depth. But then, that first week of December, I also just look at it and I see that first week of December where, yes, you have two of the tougher games at home against Creighton and Michigan State, but then split between a game at Minnesota on December 6th, and then even going forward, December 17th is at Kansas State. That's going to be when we really find a lot about this team, right? Because they could very well be 7-0 going into that Sunday, December 3rd game against Creighton, which is really good for fan experience or fan attendance, right? There's going to be interest and there's going to be people in seats and stuff like that. But if you're talking about an undefeated Nebraska basketball team and then going up against what we would assume to be an undefeated Creighton Blue Jay team, there's going to be a lot of eyeballs on that game from, all right, how real is this Nebraska team? How talented can they be? Are they an NCAA tournament caliber type program?
You would like to have a win the caliber of Creighton on your resume this year like you did last year. Creighton, though, has an interesting feast week itself. It's going to go down to Kansas City, that Hall of Fame Classic that Nebraska played Missouri State and Texas Tech in a handful of years back. Creighton starts with Loyola Chicago. And then after that, my guess is they'll end up playing Colorado State, who's got Boston College. Isaiah Stevens is a whole lot of fun. He might just put the Rams on his back and make that a game. But yeah, this next month for Nebraska basketball, between Wednesday against Duquesne through probably that Kansas State game, you hate to call it season defining in December, but you will learn a lot about this team. You can't let Minnesota beat you. You can't. They played you tough last year. You can't take them lightly, but you can't let them beat you.
They also knocked you out of the Big Ten tournament.
They did. Michigan State, if they keep shooting 13% from three, Nebraska's going to have a chance there. Kansas State, probably better than Nebraska. Tyler Perry's really good for them.
Don't have a Keontae Johnson. They don't have a Marquise Knoll.
So they'll be good. It's a road game at Bramlage, which is a tough place to play. I'm a big Jerome Kang guy.
Cool place.
I'm going. I got credentials.
Nice.
I'm going for
there
that
you
one.
go,
So
Austin.
stay tuned for
Nice.
that. But if you can steal one of Creighton or Kansas State, maybe Michigan State, but I still think they win the Big Ten. So that's going to be a tough one. Take care of business against Fullerton, Minnesota. If you can enter those last 18 games of conference play with 2 or fewer losses, you've done everything out.
Yeah, I mean, and here's the thing. Once again, you can handle a quad 1 loss, right? Like you can handle those. You cannot come over or overcome the quad 3 losses, the quad 4 losses. Those can't happen. You cannot have those if you're Nebraska men's basketball. They'll wrap that up. They'll go through the end of the year. You'll probably get a couple more victories, as you would assume, right? I still expect them to be able to top Duquesne. I still expect them to beat Cal State Fullerton. So I mean, there's 2 there. There's North Dakota, South Carolina State. You feel good about. So you're talking about 4 wins there, and then the 4 question marks of Creighton, Minnesota, Michigan State, Kansas State. I mean, there's a way that Nebraska finds themselves 7-0 going into Creighton, and then 8-1 after Minnesota. And if you're able to take 2 or 1 of 2 between Michigan State and Kansas State, you're sitting there at 9-2 going into all right, and then it would be 11-2 going into the new year. I mean, and that's going through not necessarily the easiest non-conference slate, but it certainly got harder. And if you're able to walk away saying we took 1 of 2 out of the stretch of 4 difficult ones, you feel some sort of excitement going into the new year.
The Creighton game holds a lot of interest to me, obviously, because I'm going to be rooting against Creighton with everything I have. But Nebraska stealing that game last year was not anyone's bingo card.
Yeah.
Didn't expect it. It's not going to look the same for Nebraska this year, but they also won't have faced anyone like Creighton. Trey Alexander will be the best guard they've faced, even better than Pope. Shireman on the wing. I don't hate that matchup for Nebraska. I really think Juwan Gary and Bryce Williams can handle him to some degree. Then it comes down to Rink Mast against Ryan Kalkbrenner.
That's what I was just going to say. Derek Walker did an unbelievable job against Ryan Kalkbrenner last year. Absolutely phenomenal job against Kalkbrenner on the road last year. Got him into foul trouble, I think, and Derek Walker was able to stay out of foul trouble as well in that game last year. And Nebraska, frankly, feed off the crowd. Like that's going to be a game. I hate to look forward to December 3rd, right? But that's going to be a game where maybe K-State Tominaga needs to have a K-State Tominaga type of game.
Take advantage of Stephen Ashford. He won't defend.
Exactly. Nebraska's been able to get away from the K-State Tominaga 20-point performances and still win games. Not sure if that's going to be the case against the Creighton. Maybe you do get 25 out of Bryce Williams, and you certainly take it. But Rink Mast controlling the boards and also being able to distribute the ball, kind of the inside-out game, is going to be extremely crucial.
The stretch ability, too, the pick and pop game. I don't think we see a lot of Josiah Alec at the 5 in that one.
Yeah.
That's one that you hope Blaze Queta is back for, just to give you another big body to throw at Kalkbrenner. But you saw what Derek Walker did in dribbling the ball before against Creighton last year. I don't think we see nearly as much of that from Rink Mast, but more pick and pop, more top of the key distribution, because Kalkbrenner, at 7 foot tall, his arms are long. And if he can recover elbow to block and still contest stuff, but if you have to stretch him out, even that extra step past the free throw line, that's tough for any big guy. And it'll tell us a lot about how Nebraska plans to handle Zach Edey later.
Yeah. And frankly, Nebraska hasn't had the situations, and this is the last thing before we'll let you guys go. Nebraska hasn't had the situations of, all right, Rink Mast is in significant foul trouble, right? Josiah Alec isn't in significant foul trouble. They have to figure out ways to manipulate lineups, and frankly, because they haven't played good enough opponents, but they also haven't found themselves in those types of adverse situations. So we're still going to be learning a lot over the course. And that's why Duquesne maybe is going to be a better test. And then obviously Creighton. I think I would rather it be, it's too bad that it couldn't be a Kansas State then Creighton type of game.
Sure.
Because Kansas State will give you a little bit more room for air. Creighton can jump on you and run you out of the gym quickly at times. And so Nebraska will have to do what they did last year, where it's slow it down, play their type of performance, defense first mentality, and try to just force some tough shots onto the Creighton offense. All right, that'll do it for us here on the Happy Hour. Appreciate Austin for hanging out with me as always on the Crossover. Strick, will join us on what you guys coming up on the show.
Yeah, we'll talk Nebraska, Wisconsin. I know the text line still has thoughts. We'll get to those. I'll get Strick's takes on Nebraska, Oregon State as well. What did he think about the perimeter defense? One guy went off. Nebraska, solved that. Washington jumped Florida State in the college football playoff rankings with Jordan Travis's injury. Do they deserve to? We'll get into a weekend recap. And, of course, it's Feast Week. We're going over it, top to bottom, Maui to Kansas City, everything in between. That's what we're hitting.
There you go. Stick around on the block. Strick and Austin coming up next. That'll do it for us here on the Happy Hour. For Rico, I'm Nick. We'll see you guys tomorrow.
Hi, everyone. Kendall Warnock with A1 Automotive in downtown Lincoln. If you're looking for an automotive repair facility you can genuinely trust, we would be grateful for the opportunity to earn your business repairing your vehicle. We have ASE master technicians and qualified to work on a variety of vehicles from Hondas to Porsches, Jaguars to Toyotas, and Chevrolets to Fords. We pride ourselves on customer service and relationships, and we would be grateful for the opportunity to serve you. Give us a call at 402-477-4660. A1 Automotive. Always honest answers.
Ready to make this season unforgettable? Celebrate with Liberty First Credit Union's low-rate debt consolidation loan. Combine all those bills into one affordable monthly payment with quick access to funds. Imagine all the extra cash for holiday shopping sprees, festive parties, or that well-deserved vacation. Stop by any of their branches or visit libertyfirstcu.com to find out more about their low-rate debt consolidation loan. Make this holiday season one to remember and celebrate with Liberty First Credit Union, banking with purpose.
Experience flexibility like never before with Ace Rent-to-Own. Whether you're decorating a new home or upgrading your electronics, they provide easy payment plan options that suit your budget. No credit checks, no hefty interest rates, just straightforward renting solutions designed with you in mind. Find great options to make a beautifully furnished space or surround yourself with the latest gadgets. With Ace Rent-to-Own, it's all within your grasp. Visit acerentoown.com and bring home more than just a product. Bring home a lifestyle.
So I switched my insurance to State Farm, and get this. I talked to an actual State Farm agent who lives in my actual town. And get this. My actual agent in my actual town gave me actual help with the coverage I needed. And get this. My actual agent in my actual town who gave me actual help actually knows my name. And get this. They actually say it's called service.
Call your local State Farm agent, Vinny Kreekak, at 402-474-11.